My name is Scott Huxley from Syscom. Today's webinar, we have Amy with us today. I'll let Amy introduce herself. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Big driver around today's conversation is going to be how your business is going to be able to use and leverage AI, what it is, the good and the bad and the ugly. So with that, Amy, good morning. How are you doing today?
Good morning. I am going to try to avoid the ugly part, though.
Oh, nice. Okay, good.
I try to keep it on the light and happy side of AI, right?
Awesome. I think everyone will appreciate that. So this will be recorded as well, so you'll be able to go back in, and this will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, so you'll be able to go ahead and check that out as well for some key points. And with that, Amy, again, thank you for joining us, and tell people on today's webinar a little bit about yourself, because who better to introduce yourself than you? And I couldn't pronounce your last name, Babinchak.
It's not. Yeah, it's exactly
Babinchak?
like what it looks like, but
Okay, there we
it's
go.
got a bunch of letters and it's intimidating. I know, but
Yeah,
it's
I
all
was
right.
scared. Yeah.
It's
So
okay.
yeah, Amy, you've been in this business for a few minutes, right?
Yeah. So my MSP was going since 2000, and then I let you guys take it over in the end of 2023, so just fairly recently. And yeah, I'm still doing some other stuff. I've got my other company, Third Tier, which helps out other MSPs. And what I do over there is training and peer groups, and um, you know, I work with some vendors for social media and got a newsletter going, do some speaking at conferences, just a whole bunch of different things, all the fun stuff, and none of the oh my God, it's broken stuff, which I actually don't mind leaving that behind, I gotta say. So thank you for
Uh,
taking that.
hey, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. No,
Yeah.
it's been great, and today's topic is something that we get asked quite a bit about. It certainly should be on people's radars, if not already. And yeah, I'm interested to hear what you have to say, because I know you spend a lot of time, and I'm sure you get a lot of questions from people as well, both within the industry and then maybe people that are looking to use it in their business. So I know you're going to have some great insights, and a frequent speaker too. So yeah, it's great to have you, and looking forward to what you jump into.
All right. Well, let me share my screen here and we can get started. So I see that Ross Kaplan is in the audience. Funny story, Ross. Um, we both went to CES in Las Vegas one year, and there's only 100 and some thousand people there across Las Vegas through multiple venues. And who do I see but Ross? Like, we're both standing there looking at a robot play tennis. It was it was pretty small world moment. Like, oh hey, here's one of my clients standing here. Cool.
Small world.
Small
He's like,
world.
Ross is like, I remember. So it
Yeah.
was that's funny. That's a great story though.
Yep.
You never know who you're going to come across.
For sure. It's always a small world moment. All right. All right, so let's get started with the webinar today. There is going to be plenty of time for questions at the end, and I love questions. It's my favorite part of any presentation. So feel free to ask the questions. You can stick them in the chat or the Q&A, whichever you want. I think in this one we've got both. I usually find the chat's a bit easier, but whatever works for you guys is fine for me.
Okay.
And yeah, let's talk about this. We're going to talk about using AI in your business and what you need to think about before you get started, and how to be safe when you're doing it, because there's some issues we're going to talk about, but we're going to keep it on the light side.
All right.
All right. So in fact, actually what you're seeing on the screen there is AI at work, right? This is live transcription by Azure AI that is happening in the webinar at the bottom of the screen. So we get to actually see it at work. And if if I wanted to make a presentation and I knew there was going to be people in the audience that spoke a different language, I could just have the transcription be in another language, and it would automatically translate my words into that language and show them across the bottom of the screen. And as you can see, it's like super fast. So, it's not very far behind me at all, considering it has to interpret what I say, send it over to Azure, send it back again, put it on the screen, do all those things. And it's, what, half a second behind maybe? Pretty cool stuff. All
Shockingly
right.
accurate too for anyone that's ever had AI translate a message.
Yeah, I'll just have my mother, part of my brain's reminding me to enunciate my words so that AI can understand me best. All righty. Let's go ahead and get this party started. So my name is Amy Babinchak. I am the former owner of Harbor Computer Services. Syscom has taken that bit off my plate, and now I work exclusively for my other company, which is called Third Tier. And Third Tier works with other MSP firms, so totally different type of business. And I've actually had that going since 2008. So it's been around for a while, and these are the types of things that I do over there to keep myself busy and stuff that I enjoy. So also, speaking of AI, that is a headshot that was created in AI as well. So, and I'm going to actually talk about what software did that for me, as I have a couple of recommendations of where you can actually get started using AI for practical things. So let's talk about this. It's a new big idea, this AI, right? And when you started your business, the business you work for had a big idea. And the big idea was the thing that was going to drive your success, and it was going to be all yours. But now artificial intelligence comes along, and we refer to this as AI. And AI is amazing technology that we've anticipated for a long time in science fiction and in popular science too. Today's AI isn't exactly about autonomous robots running around doing things that are good for us or doing things that are bad for society. You might recognize that guy. Instead, what it is, it's something called a large language model, and they are much more boring. So you'll hear them referred to as LLMs. And a large language model are just a bunch of words. It's literally what it is, a big bunch of words in a database. But the smart part of it is that the AI understands the meaning of the word, and it has access to those words much faster than our brain could ever do. So it's all of the words, all the languages that are out there on the internet, or at least what it's been given access to on all of the pages, so that it can look up information almost instantaneously or within a few seconds, and then just immediately have become knowledge that we can use. So the impact upon your business from this technology, even though it's not robots, isn't going to be small, it's going to be huge. And unlike your great big idea that you might have started your business with, that was all about you, AI is something that's going to be done to you. And if you don't harness it and take full advantage of it, it could really put your business in a bad position. On the other hand, if you do harness this new technology and you do take the time to understand it and you do invest in training your employees on how best to leverage it, then the future for your business is going to be greater than that of all your competitors who might not be taking the time to understand, invest, and leverage this new technology like you are hopefully going to do. So today I'm going to try to show you what AI is and what AI isn't, where we're at with the technology, and I'm going to hopefully do that in terms that are understandable. But if you have any questions, right, use that chat, use that Q&A, put them in there. As I said, Q&A is my favorite part of any presentation, so ask away. And I'm also going to be showing you how to get started using this technology so that you can begin to understand it for yourself, teach the others that you work with, and make a plan for your business and your staff to be educated on how to leverage AI and gain that competitive advantage that I just talked about. So here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about terminology, which we already just did. You learned what LLMs are. We're going to talk about statistics and skills that are needed. privacy, and then what's a way that you can get started using AI today. So I know that's a lot for a topic that you might not know much about yet, but don't worry, there is not going to be a test. And I'm going to keep it pretty high level, but I do want you to leave today feeling that you learned something and that you're going to be safe when you go out and try AI. So let's talk about terminology. I mean, you've already learned two of the three most important words to know, right? AI, remember, AI is not about robots yet. It's just a program that is really good at language. And today's AI are mostly large language models, those LLMs. Those are enormous repositories of information that the AI is able to understand. It understands them mostly through prediction. Right? By reading enough material, AI is able to predict what the answer will be and put together the words to answer your question. And when it doesn't have enough information, it will be a lot less accurate. And an inaccurate response from an AI is called a hallucination. And that last term that you should understand for terminology is generative AI. And this is simply that the AI is able to create a solution, a drawing, write a paragraph, create a report, even chase IT security breaches based on the questions that you've asked and the instructions that you've provided to it. All of those questions represent a set of instructions, and the instructions for the AI in that set of instructions are called prompts. And that's it. Those are all the terms that you need to know to start using AI. And hopefully that was not too difficult. So now that we know what AI is and what AI isn't, and what some of the words you might hear mean, let's talk about why AI is important for your business and some of the skills that all working people are going to need. Quote at the bottom of the page is my favorite quote about AI so far because it's undeniably true. I'll read it because it's kind of like purple on purple. Sorry about that. AI won't replace your job. The person that knows how to use AI will. And this is by Kai-Fu Lee. He's an important computer scientist. He used to be an executive with Microsoft, and he used to be the head of Google for China. And now he has his own business, works for universities, and is a great thinker of AI. So Microsoft, though, is implementing the AI under a product name called Copilot. The name Copilot invokes somebody who is sitting next to the pilot in an airplane, and that's exactly how they expect your employees to use AI at work. They'll ask for assistance from Copilot and expect the Copilot to perform certain tasks that aid them in the piloting of their job. And studies are showing that employees are desperate for this Copilot to take some of the weight of the work off of them. For decades now, we've been increasing productivity through technology, but our people are really getting burned out by it. So working the human faster might have actually reached its limit. And so AI has arrived at the right time. So Microsoft commissioned a survey recently, which told us a lot about what do we already know, but put some big numbers to those thoughts. Right? 64% of people are running out of energy to do their job, perhaps by the pace required by the flow of information that's constantly hitting them. And I usually call this information overload. Right? People are suffering from it. People are also spending 3 times as many minutes in meetings as they used to and not feeling that those meetings are being effective. And a whopping 70% would love to delegate as much as possible to an AI so they can regain their focus. A focused employee is a productive employee, and regaining focus will help them do their job with better and greater accuracy. And if workers are worried about losing their jobs because of AI, then they should not be. A survey said that employers are not looking to replace headcount because of AI. They're looking for more productivity from workers. But workers are maxed out, as we just discussed a minute ago. So AI is coming and it's here to help them do more in their job. So, but what is actually eating away at people's ability to focus and get more done? Well, 62% of survey respondents said they struggle with too much time spent searching for information. And if you look at this graphic, 62% is the tiny ball that people are pushing uphill. All the bigger balls represent even higher percentages, right? They're feeling uninspired. They're attending too many meetings. They lack clear goals, and those meetings themselves are inefficient. So, how can you do your best as an employee when all of that is getting in your way? You really can't. And this is why employees are stressing out. Learning the skill of using AI can help bring all of these balls down to a manageable size again. So, how do employees actually think an AI is going to help them? Well, 3 in 4 people told Microsoft they would be comfortable using AI for administrative tasks. But most people also said they'd be comfortable using it for analytical work and even creative work. People are also looking for AI to assist with finding the right information and answers that they need, a whopping 86%. They want to summarize their meetings and be provided with action items from those meetings, and they even want AI to plan their day for them. So in a few minutes, we're going to look at some solutions that your employees can use to address these issues. Now, if you're looking for evidence beyond a survey that your people are looking for help with their jobs, look no further than the overwhelming response to ChatGPT when it hit the scene a year ago. 1 million people used it in the first week, and 100 million people did so in the first 2 months. That's about 1 in 3 people in the United States. And we only have about 132 million full-time workers in the United States. So it is entirely possible that every full-time worker in the United States tried ChatGPT in those first 2 months that it was available. Isn't that staggering? That means that it's likely that everyone working at your company has already given it a try. It's also likely that most of them were disappointed because, especially in that first month, ChatGPT was not in a position to help them with their job. It's gotten closer over time, but disillusionment might have already set in with your employees because they didn't know how to use AI and they didn't understand the limitations of AI. Most of the questions that got asked of ChatGPT were things that people would have asked to Google. So we can definitely say that there is a desperation out there for better search results. But we can also say that, yeah, workers are looking for something to help them. Because when ChatGPT showed up, everyone rushed out to see if it could help them. All research, including workers' mental health and stress levels, tell us that our people need help, and maybe AI is going to be what they're looking for. This brings me to my first recommendation of where your staff can start using AI. Perplexity is an AI search engine. It's giving Google a run for its money, and it is the first AI unicorn. A unicorn is the surprising $1 billion company valuation while not actually creating a profit yet. That's weird, isn't it? That's why they call them unicorns. Unicorns are created when investors so strongly believe that the product will be successful that they're willing to invest even though there is no return for them in the near term. And that's where Perplexity is at, and it is giving Google a hard time. I changed my default search engine to Perplexity. I love it so much. So let me give you a little quick tour of how it works. Let's hit the play button here. So what you see on the screen actually is Perplexity. And what you do is you ask it a question, right? And AI, remember that's a prompt. So I said I wanted to understand what kitchen trends are, and I wanted it to use at least 5 sources of information so I can see what sources it used to answer my question. And I also asked it to create a summary chart. And so it actually created a chart for me, the top of which has trends that are declining in popularity. And the bottom is, it created another one, which is trends that are gaining in popularity. And it provided the reference for each of those items so that I can drill down into it more. And notice at the bottom there, it's got my related questions. So if I wanted a follow-up question, it's actually suggested some for me. And if I hit that plus button, it will just instantly start answering that follow-up question. I find this so much more helpful than asking our search engines that we've had for the last 20 years. They really haven't changed or hardly improved at all in the last 20 years, a question and then getting a million results back, right? So this is me clicking in to read the article that was one of the reference articles. And of course, it's on Forbes, so it's just garbaged up with advertising. And that's part of our problem with the internet as well, isn't it? You'll notice that in the new AI search engines, I don't get any of that garbage yet. They seem to be going to the model of charging a monthly fee. So that's something that I also need to know about AI is these are going to be fee-based technologies. That seems to be the direction that they're going. So plan to spend some money on using AI. If you're using the free stuff, it's going to be limited. It's going to be frustrating. It'll probably have advertising and it may not even be secure, right? They'll be perhaps selling information because they're allowed to make some money somehow, right? They're not just going to provide something for free. So that's my quick tour of Perplexity. So if you're looking for a better way to search the internet, this is my recommendation. So there's a lot to using AI effectively, and it's more than just treating it like a better search engine, right? We humans are going to need to improve certain types of skills that use our brain in ways that may not have been emphasized before. And you can see in the graphic what I mean by that, right? We have to get good at things like intellectual flexibility and curiosity. And that means being open to learning new things that might be contrary to what you already believe to be true. Emotional intelligence, right? That means we have to understand when we are being influenced by our emotions and take that into considerations. We have to get good at bias detection, right? That is when we're letting our previous knowledge get in the way of making decisions about new knowledge that is being presented to us. We have to learn analytical judgment, creative evaluation, and most of all, delegation and how to delegate effectively to AI. And underpinning all these are going to be the task-oriented skills of writing good prompts, breaking tasks into steps. Proofreading is going to be absolutely huge, understanding when something is being said properly and when something is accurate. And of course, the interpersonal skills to communicate those results effectively. Right? We just don't want to be parrots and, copy paste what the AI told us. We have to be able to have the skills to be able to communicate. And now this is not typically how employees prioritize the skill sets of potential new hires, but it's going to be in the near future. And that's when your existing employees can fall hopelessly behind if they don't have the backing of great training to train their brain and develop these new skills. Today, these also are skills that have not been highly valued in the past, but they're going to be of the highest valued skills in the near future. Employees will have to think hard about how they're going to transition their workforce to harness AI. And these soft skills, as we have traditionally called them, these are the skills that are going to rule the day in the age of AI. But one of the best ways to learn how to write the AI prompts is to have the AI train you on how to talk to it, right? Every AI that you encounter, and I should say, if you buy Microsoft's Copilot for Microsoft 365, every AI you see in there that's in every application, the Word, Excel, the PowerPoint, the Outlook, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, each of those has a different development team behind it. And so each of those has different skills that it's been trained for and ways to maximize its communications to you inside that app. So it's very important to learn how to talk to each and every one of the AIs that that you have available to you. And what you see on the screen is actually a single prompt sort of broken down, so you can sort of see how that works, right? Assist me in becoming an expert in prompt engineering. Guide me through the process of refining a specific topic to perfection. This approach will be iterative, involving, right, the initial query, the refinement cycle, a prompt revision, clarifying questions, iterative enhancement, right? So if we put that all together and we tell AI, this is what I want you to do, and then we give it a topic in our question, maybe it's just a single sentence, what we're going to end up with in the end is probably an entire paragraph, a list of steps, maybe even an entire page that is the prompt, because we need to be explicit in how we give instructions in order to get the results that we want. So learning to write the prompts is a real skill, and that is just one example of the skills that that we mentioned that your staff is going to have to master. So here's an example of a few very simple prompts, right? These are ones that I have used, right? Explain the relationship between concept one and concept two, right? You would put those in, whatever you're interested in, using straightforward language and provide examples to illustrate their connection, right? AI will go to work and give you a comparison of those two concepts so that you can understand them better or write about them better, communicate about them better. And then there's the learn the lingo prompt, right? Maybe you're encountering something in your job that is an area that you're not too familiar with. So you would ask it, the AI, to list the crucial terms associated with that topic and provide brief, easy to understand definition of each of those terms. You can quickly get up to speed on things that are new to you. And then why not use it to create an email signature, right? Create a line art signature. You see mine up there in the corner, and this is actually the prompt that I used. A highly minimalist single line drawing with the outline of a tiny person sitting in a comfortable chair using a laptop on the left, smoothly and fluidly transitions, continuing to a signature on the right, which, as you can see, it didn't do. It put it top and bottom, but whatever, I still liked the result. The signature prominently spelling out Amy Babinchak should be clear, legible, and stylish on a white canvas, right? Embodying simplicity and elegance, capturing the essence of a sophisticated and personal brand with an artistic and graceful feel. I mean, does it convey all of that? Maybe. I have been getting a lot of compliments on it. And this actually totally looks like me using my laptop. I sit in my chair and I have my laptop on my knees exactly like that. I feel a little spied on, but it got me exactly, and it's a great signature. So this is what some simple prompts look like. Now, we do have some big things to think about with AI, and not just how our staff is going to learn the skills needed, which is big enough, but also how our corporate data is going to remain ours as they do so. Right, which means that before we turn our people loose and say, use that ChatGPT and Copilot and any other AI you can find, we need to talk about privacy. And here I'm not talking about your personal privacy, but rather the privacy of your business data. So let me give you an example. If I ask OpenAI's ChatGPT to help me with a sales document, and I paste in that document and I ask it to rewrite it for me so I can send it to a potential customer, I have reduced my workload for sure, but I've also uploaded information into ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT has some guardrails in place to prevent it from using that information when answering the questions of others, but not all AI services have that. And even ChatGPT requires you use the Pro version, which has a fee attached. So somewhere in the fine print of the terms of service is where you're going to find that information. And no one reads those things. So it can be a really big problem. Now, a not so well kept secret is that the only two companies that can use the OpenAI data set that ChatGPT and DALL-E that you might heard of, the imaging tool, are owned by OpenAI, but when Microsoft invested $13 billion in OpenAI and agreed to host the large language model in Azure, which cost them a small fortune every day, they got exclusive rights to use that large language model to build their own products. So Bing AI, Edge Copilot, Windows Copilot, 365 Copilot, Dynamics Copilot, Security Copilot, Designer, Clipchamp, all the stuff from Microsoft. At last time I counted, I think there were 13 Copilots packages that you could use or purchase, but then also remember that inside of each of those are different aspects of Copilot that all have their own development teams. So technically they're unique Copilots. There are many, many, many Copilots over at Microsoft. But they also protect your data, and they have a specific way that they do that. So they're business products, and that's a very important distinction from a consumer-focused AI, right? And they're going to be able to search the internet to help you. They're also going to search your business data. So importantly, though, it only has access to the business data that you have access to, meaning the person at the keyboard who's making the request, right? Me. So whatever I have access to, it has access to. So if a person is logged into the computer and they have access to a document, then AI does too. And it might use that to do the work that you've asked it to do. It's going to do all of its work in the context of you. And it's going to keep that data private to you. And this is great, except that nearly every business has data that it is not ready and permissions that are not refined. So think about your data. How much of it contains old, outdated information that you wouldn't want Copilot to include in a new document? So much data. Hey, we like to keep it around, but if I ask AI to perform a task for me and it uses data from 5, 10, or 20 years ago, is that okay? Probably not. Now, Microsoft did recognize this problem, and they themselves spent more than a year preparing their own data for use with AI before they turned it out to a single employee. And one of the things that came out of that for us is that Copilot has a preference for newer data over older data. But that doesn't mean that it will never reach back in time if it doesn't think that more recent documents aren't as complete for the question that you've asked. And then on top of that, there's permissions problems, right? Are you certain that every employee only has the ability to view files that you want them to? It is not likely. Generally, employees work within a small set of folders containing files, but because of permissions creep, they actually have a much larger set of information. It's just that they've never bothered to look at it. AI is going to look. AI will look at everything that it has permissions to. So that folder of nested folders of data that various departments use, AI is going to use all of it now, not just the part that applies to the job role of the person asking, or the folders that they use as their normal go-to. It's going to use everything that you've given it permission to. And a lot of this old way of defining permissions and creating big nested folders and giving people access to, a swath of nested things because they may need it someday. That's an old way of thinking that sort of grew out of servers. But as we move things to the cloud, certainly those data structures have to be flattened. They have to be more narrow. And as we go into AI, they have to be really, really, really well defined. This means a whole taking a hard look at your data infrastructure and redesigning it for this new era. So every business is going to need to do an information audit to tighten up permissions and clean out old outdated information before they get started using AI. And that is not going to be a small task. We've got some big projects to do here. We've got to organize and purge data, and we have to make permissions granular, not broad like they are today. These are major projects that you need Syscom to get going on right now. The time of the essence when it comes to getting your competitive advantage from AI. Your competitors are doing this today. Now, I don't recommend that anyone just go out and start trying stuff until they understand the privacy and data issues that were just discussed, and also the thinking, editing, and critiquing that they need to do. It is critically important. So if you're going to provide your employees with training, and you really must, then make sure that they understand the privacy and data issues first. That is a great place to start. However, if you'd like to see what's out there and try a few things, here's a few to start with. These are ones that I have used. I've determined that they're safe to use and that they're effective. So video, right? You need to open an account and the data will remain yours. What it will do is intelligently chop up your video content for use with social media. So your marketing person, your person in charge of social media will really enjoy this. Like video is king right now in social media. So being able to take content and making little sound bites out of it is valuable and also time consuming if you're doing it by hand, but an AI can have it done in a few minutes. So super helpful. Designer's owned by Microsoft. That's what I used to create that little signature thing, and that's the prompt I gave it. It is using, remember, it's using that LLM from OpenAI in the background. And it is a free online application that creates images for you. Now, Secta AI, that's the name of the application that I use to generate my professional headshot. And the way that that works is you actually upload a lot of photos of you. So 25 to 50 photos, you just start uploading them into Secta AI, again, after you create your account and give them a little bit of money. And it then takes those, gets your look down, puts you in different backgrounds and appearances and things, and come out with some great looking headshots. So that's a fun way to find out the limitations of AI, because you get some weird headshots too, but you also get some good ones and things that you can use. So that's a great one to try out. IFTTT, right? If this, then that. It has been around for a long time, but now it has AI capabilities. And I have a recipe, that's what they call the things, right? That goes out weekly. It reads blogs for me, and then it writes a summary of those and sends the summary to me. So this sends me and saves me a great deal of time. And Perplexity, right? I did show you Perplexity. I showed you that new search engine, and we did talk about the Microsoft Copilot a little bit. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a moment as well. Now, here's the Microsoft 365 Copilot, right? It's $30 a month, and you have to buy it as an annual subscription. You don't have to buy it for everybody in your company. You can find out who's going to be your AI champion, who really wants to learn this stuff, and who's going to go out, develop those skills, who's going to absorb that training, who do you want to train first. Um, we want people that are passionate about it. We want people that are ready to learn and understand that it's a learning process. We want people that are going to be able to train others too, and how to use it. So here's a super simple example. I get this fantastic newsletter once a week, and it is long, and I don't read every article. But what I need to know, because it is so long, is whether I want to read this one. And so as you can see, right, I'll just show you, it is long, right? Each of the articles in here is long and detailed, and that's what I enjoy about it. But do I want to read the whole thing? Well, at the top, I've got Summary by Copilot. I can click on that, and it tells me exactly what's in this newsletter, right? It just gave me a summary of each of the articles. And so now I'm able to tell very quickly which of the articles in the newsletter that I might actually want to dig into. And I'm definitely going to be reading the Ethics in Computing article. So that's the kind of thing that Copilot does for you in Outlook, in addition to many, many, many other things, but that's just a super example of how it can save you some time. So we have reached the end of my presentation. In summary, this is everything that we actually did cover today. Terminology, we looked at some statistics and skills that we're going to have to learn, why people are clamoring for AI, why your employees really want it. We talked about the privacy and data issues that are out there, and I'll give you some suggestions on how to get started. So I hope that you enjoyed today's information and feel like you know more about AI, why it's important, and what you need to do to get your business ready to use it to your best advantage. So thank you for your time. I do believe that Scott's recording this, so you can get that recording from him. And of course, that will have the links in it for you with the AIs that I suggested you might want to start with. And I'm ready to answer your questions now. So let me stop sharing, and we can go ahead and do that.
Thanks, Amy. A lot of great stuff. And yeah, I was opening some tabs and seeing some of the things that you shared. So some stuff that I didn't know existed. And I think it's a topic that I don't think you just do one webinar on AI and call it good, because it's evolving. It's evolving day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. So yeah, some great resources that you shared. We're now at the awkward part where we ask for questions and it goes quiet. So yes, if you do have questions, drop them into the chat. It will, as we mentioned earlier, be recorded and uploaded to the YouTube channel for it's called Syscom Educate. That'll be available to you. Those that have registered will get copies of the recording as well. But so much great content to share, and I feel like we'll be doing a part 2 at some point. But yeah, I think I'll wrap it up by kind of saying, we're all using AI in one way, shape, or form in our lives, whether we're using maps for directions or, there's many different things in our lives that we're probably using it and not knowing it, but some real great resources there. And I think it's something that, like you touched on, Amy, businesses need to think about it, and also the upside and the potential challenges. So I appreciate you coming on today. No questions in the chat that I've seen thus far.
There's a couple happening here, Scott.
Is there? Okay.
Yeah. So good training resources is the first question, or should you just jump in trial and error? I would not recommend the trial and error approach because you'll get disappointed. As I mentioned, all of these things have limitations. And when you bump into the limitations, it's very, very frustrating. And you don't want your employees getting frustrated with AI. You want them to be successful with AI. And so we want to provide them with the training up front. And some good sources of training. Remember that all that soft skill stuff is really super important. It's sort of like background information before you actually jump into the AI. And the best resource for that, I believe, is LinkedIn Learning. And you get free access to LinkedIn Learning with a LinkedIn Premium subscription, which isn't too expensive. Microsoft also has Copilot training that's available on the Copilot website. And each of the AIs, so if you find one you're interested in, they all have their own training that is that's popping up that they've made available, so you can learn how they want you to use the AI. Because remember, it's just a bunch of people in the background that created the thing and decided, oh, this is the stuff that we're creating this AI to do. So you need to know what their expectations of the AI they created are, right? And it's because they had a certain set of things that they were designing toward, and that's what it's going to be good at. And then it's probably going to be bad at everything else. So it's important to know how the individual AIs work and utilize their training.
They'll teach me for saying that there was no questions, because yes, you're right. There's a few popping in, which is good. That means that it prompted some people to think long and hard. So Greg had a question about what the benefits are of using Perplexity, Amy, Perplexity over Copilot as an AI search?
I like the way that Copilot references material. I like the way that it presents that material. Copilot provides me information, but doesn't provide me also that traditional search result, right? So if I just search, a lot of times I just want to know where a particular website is or something. If I just pop that into Perplexity, it's going to give me information about that website or that company, but right at the top is that link to that website. Right? And I don't really get that when I'm using Copilot. So it's just a different use case. And remember, each of these AIs too is going to have different preferences for its references as well. So um, yeah, I just like the way that Perplexity does it more than I like the way that Copilot does it. I don't dislike the Copilot, but for my everyday search use, I prefer Perplexity.
Ross has a really good question. So we know that AI can create pictures. So Ross's question here is, what are your thoughts, Amy, around the ownership or trademarking AI generated images, and has law caught up yet? Yeah, the legal aspect is usually way behind technology. What's your take on Ross's question there?
Way behind Russ. Yeah, it is. The law has not caught up, but a lot of the existing laws do still apply. So this is actually one of the reasons why you see a lot of errors in AI generated images, because they don't want them to be too perfect. And they made a lot of mistakes initially in that, right? You probably heard about, artists complaining about, having their style stolen or having their actual images stolen, what they call stolen, but actually it's part of that legacy stuff, right? Just as businesses have their data to protect, artists have their art to protect, and it was out there for the viewing, right? And so of course, AI viewed it and took it in. Um, and that's, that's a problem. And it's exactly the same problem as businesses are going to have with their data. So has the law caught up? No, the law has not caught up, but the same copyright rules and trademark rules do still apply to the AI generated images. Now the AI services are not taking trademarks and copyrights on what they have created, at least not the ones that I've used. They're creating free and open source stuff. But yeah, that's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Great answer. Next question up from Erica. Can you speak to AI's tendency to learn adverse human habits and how this issue is being addressed by developers?
Well, there's a AI ethics consortium out there, which all of the respectable AIs are part of. And so what they're doing is building out the ethics of which AI is going to operate in. And part of that is to make sure that AI doesn't go down the rabbit holes that humans tend to, or human could be led. And truly, it's not a new problem. Remember when YouTube was doing that, right? It was like 5 clicks and you were in the darkest, you were in a very, very dark, ugly space. And they had to correct that on YouTube. So they're using some of that same technology to correct that in AI and make it smarter so that it doesn't take you down a very dark rabbit hole. Doesn't mean that there aren't going to be people that will develop AIs specifically for that purpose. Um, because anybody can go out and create their own language model and create their own AI today and have it be a very dark AI that, exposes the vast, ugly underbelly of the internet. So that's probably another thing to teach your employees is you got to be really careful which AI you use. And I think as a business, you're going to want to define what can be used and what cannot be used in your business for that, really for that reason, right? We want to keep things on the legitimate side, accurate side, happy side of life as much as possible.
Yep, great answer. Okay, I think that is the last question that we have. So thank everyone for attending today. Again, recordings will be available. I feel like this is part one. There'll be a part two here at some point, I'm sure, in the near future, with some new additions as we go, as the technology consistently changes and some of the guidance around it but potentially changes too. Amy, great presentation. Appreciate everyone attending today. Thanks for sharing, and look forward to seeing you all again sometime soon. Take care, everyone. Have a good day.